So, hello once more. This is Patrick Hickey from Boherbue Comprehensive School. Now, in my last class, I talked about Cumberland Dáil losing power in 1932 and Fianna Fáil taking over the reins of government. So, in this presentation, I want to briefly outline how Fianna Fáil came to be, what the party stood for, and I suppose how they eventually came to take power in 1932. Now, how Fianna Fáil came about was, well, Dev, I suppose, frustrated with the fact that Sinn Féin was remaining outside the Dáil and was continuing its hardline policy of abstentionism, i.e., they would not take the oath, therefore would not take their seats in the Dáil, decided to leave the party. He and his many followers founded Fianna Fáil in March 1926. So really it was a time for him and his followers to start again. Now, the aims of Fianna Fáil included achieving a 32 county republic, an increase in social welfare, ending the payment of land annuities to Britain, economic self-sufficiency, and the restoration of the Irish language. Now, soon after, in June 1927, Fianna Fáil contested its first general election. They won a very credible 44 seats, only 3 behind the government party, which was quite an achievement given that it was a young and new party. What about the old Sinn Féin party? Well, in this general election they got quite the kicking. They fell from 44 seats to 5 seats. And I suppose what we can take from that is a number of things. Well, a lot of old Sinn Féin party voters are now giving their vote to Fianna Fáil. Plus, a lot of Irish people were frustrated with the Sinn Féin policy of abstentionism and they just couldn't see it going anywhere. So switched their allegiance now to De Valera and Fianna Fáil. But Fianna Fáil still refuses to enter the Dáil in protest at the oath. Then tragedy struck. Now, we've come across this already, but that tragedy was the assassination of the Minister for Justice, Kevin O'Higgins, which we saw in a previous lesson led to the government introducing the Electoral Amendment Act. This act meant any TD had to take the oath in order to take his seat. If they didn't take the oath, they lost their seat. So this sees Fianna Fáil abandon its previous refusal to take the oath and enter the Dáil. Dev described the oath as an empty political formula. Now, I suppose we have to remember that Dev, in his refusal to sign the oath 5 years previously, had led to a bitter and bloody civil war in this country, in which hundreds had died, and saw the destruction of much of the country's vital infrastructure. But from this point on, he is prepared to take the oath, and I suppose it has to be said, provide constructive opposition to Cumberland Dáil in the Dáil. But by 1932, it would be his time to take power. The reasons for Fianna Fáil's success. Well, number one, unlike Cumberland Dáil, Fianna Fáil built up a strong local branch organisation. Every parish in Ireland had its own Fianna Fáil Cumann, mainly thanks to the hard work of Sean Lemass. Number two, Fianna Fáil's brand of republicanism was more popular than the seemingly, I suppose at times, pro-British, pro-treaty stance of the Cumberland Dáil government. Number three, Fianna Fáil was very successful at raising finance, both at home and abroad. At home, their annual Churchgate collection was very successful. They were also able to raise funds in America. And of course, money is vital when it comes to winning elections. Number 4, Fianna Fáil had its own very popular newspaper, the Irish Press. Now, no longer with us, but at one time it was one of Ireland's most popular daily newspapers. It was founded in 1931 and became a second Bible in many households. The newspaper was mainly controlled by De Valera and his family. It became widely popular, as I said, and a widespread mouthpiece for the party. Now, as well as politics, the paper had a strong GA and Irish, and gave the Irish language great coverage as well. Dev was also helped by the poor performance of Cosgrave's government, especially after the Wall Street crash. And as we saw in a previous lesson, that government was becoming increasingly unpopular with the people. Now, the 1932 general election. It was a very bitter and hotly contested general election. I suppose Cumann Dáil, on one hand, knew Fianna Fáil were closing in on them. So throughout the election, they portrayed Fianna Fáil as having strong links with IRA, with violence and terrorism, as you can see from this poster here, where we can see the shadow of a gunman, stalking the country, and it's up to Cumann Dáil to stop this happening. I suppose they also threw mud at Fianna Fáil in claiming that they were anti-Catholic Church and Dev was anti-clerical. However, there was no stopping Fianna Fáil. In that election, they won 72 seats, Cumann Dáil 57. And with the support of the Labour Party, Eamon De Valera was elected President of the Dáil. It was a position he was to hold for the next 16 years. Now, I suppose, as we saw in a previous presentation, Cosgrave's defeat in this election was actually his finest moment. Again, typical of him as a man of peace. And a respecter of democracy. Cosgrave told the army, Gardaí, the civil service to support the new government. Again, Cosgrave had secured democracy. He accepted the opinion of the Irish people and gave De Valera the reins of power. Even though there were some in the background, including the Garda Commissioner Ono Duffy, who had suggested withholding power from Fianna Fáil and De Valera. Cosgrave was having none of this. Secretly, Dev praised Cosgrave to his son Vivian weeks after taking power, and upon reading the files on the actions of Cosgrave's government in relation to the Commonwealth, he said of Cosgrave and his government, "They were magnificent, Viv." Now, I suppose in the minds of many, particularly Cumann Dáil's supporters, and I suppose a lot of Conservatives within the country, the idea of Dev being president of the Dáil was enough to bring fear and at times terror. But Dev was lucky. Soon after his election, he was given an opportunity to make a good impression with the Catholic Church. And that opportunity took the shape of the 1932 Eucharistic Congress. This is something we'll look at later when we look at the case study on the same topic. Okay, so that's my take on Fianna Fáil, its foundation, and how it came to power. In my next lesson, we will look at Fianna Fáil's economic policy. Alright, so once again, stay safe and well, and hope your studies are going well. Alright, okay, bye-bye.